Everyone knows the top 3 decks of the format, but what about decks 7 through 10? Or all the leaders below them? With over 100 leaders available for play in the One Piece trading card game, is it possible there may be some overlooked decks capable of competing with the top? In this series, we're going to look at each leader one at a time and try to bring out any hidden potential they may have in the current format. Will they all fall flat? Or is a gem waiting to be found amongst the stones? There's only one way to find out. It's time for a Rogue Revolution. Welcome to Rogue Revolution Episode 1, the series where we try to take the Zeros and make them into heroes. And what better way to start off a revolution than with a Rev Army leader? Introducing Koala. Koala is a black and yellow 4-life leader with 2 powerful effects. The first being, when attacking the opposing leader, you can draw a card if you control 2 or more cost 8 or greater characters. The second is that when your opponent plays a character with cost 8 or more, or your opponent plays a character using a character effect, you may force your opponent to take their top life card into their hand. Additionally, Koala has both the Dressrosa and the Revolutionary Army types, which give her some additional synergy with certain cards from each of those archetypes. When playing this leader, you'll have access to multiple draws per turn, and can punish your opponent for playing large or multiple characters. Additionally, she has access to the Nico Robin card, which can be used to pressure your opponent's hand size, as well as Kuma, who can heal you for cheap. Dragon can also be used in the late game to bring back either of those cards from your trash to help build your board and grant you either healing or a blocker depending on what you need at the time. It's not all sunshine for this leader though, as she can struggle to find her footing when going first. Additionally, before she can make use of her extra draw, she needs to build a board, making her very susceptible to enemy removal effects, especially those that can ignore the protection that she gets from her increased character costs. Lastly, her own in-archetype removal effects are very limited, meaning she can have trouble disrupting her opponent's plans. With the overview out of the way, let's take a look at the card by card. Starting with the Revolutionary Army package, we get to play not just one, but 2 searchers, one that's a character and one that's an event. Both are great, as they not only help to find our pieces, but they also dump the rest of the cards in the trash so we can use them for later. Next up are the 4-drops that we've got, and they are actually treated as 8-drops while in play. Hack is a great early blocker that can trade for pieces like PRB Marco or Kuina, while also granting us an 8-cost character to use with leader effect. Morley, on the other hand, is just a 5k power body, but at least it does still count as an 8-drop on the board so that we can start getting our leader effect activated as soon as possible. Next up are the 6-drop Sabo blockers. One is a 2k counter that can technically cost 3, but to be honest, we're not really trying to play him out of hand. Most of the time we'd rather just keep him as a 2k counter. The other is a convenient way to boost our leader to a 6k swing each turn without Dawn investment, while also becoming an 8-cost character on the turn he's played. This can be great to allow us to keep the pressure up on Red Blue Ace or Blue Purple Luffy, as they are 6k leaders naturally, while still playing an 8-cost character on curve. But due to having no counter power, I've kept this one to a 2 of, just so that we aren't filling our hand with too many bricks. Next we have Kuma, the healer of our deck, and one of the cards that we'll be recycling with our dragon. This card is also able to be treated as an 8-cost the turn that he enters play. Lastly, there's Dragon to make use of all the cards in our trash, shuffling a few Rev Army cards back away to resurrect any of our 6-cost or less character cards. Speaking of 6-drop character cards, the next up is Nico Robin, a card that isn't Rev Army but fits pretty cleanly into our deck as it can still be searched with Koala and is one of our prime targets for recursion with Dragon. Forcing the opponent to discard 2 each time that she enters is a great way to keep the pressure up and keep their hand size low. We've also got the staple yellow 2k Zeus as a 4 of. He's great for answering threats like Tashigi, Marco, Yamato, anything 5 cost or less for the low cost of just one of our own lives. Well worth it, is it will take the pressure off of the board in a way that Koala really needs in the early game. Next is the anti-big body tech of our deck. That is Stussy as a 2 of. She can trash any one of our characters that we've played onto the board previously, like a Zeus or a Koala, in order to KO anything on the opponent's board. Usually our target's going to be a 10-drop Whitebeard or an 8-cost Mihawk, something big like that. There's also 4 Blaze Slice, a must-have for all yellow decks on OP13 with the arrival of Emu. This card can rest a 4 cost or less while keeping our available power the same, extremely important to deal with War Curie so that you can push for game on their first round of Resurrection using the 5 Elders. Lastly, as an additional anti-emu measure, I'm also including a pair of cards that cannot be removed by effects. 4 copies of the 4-cost Porcelino and 2 copies of the 5-cost Smoker. The purpose of these cards is to shore up our going first curve against Emo so that we can actually stick a body on the board and keep up the pressure. A problem that I had been running into was that Mars was able to cleanly answer anything else I was playing because he targets original cost, ignoring our boosted cost from our card effects. Going second, this isn't really as much of a problem because by the time they could play Mars, we have access to both Kuma or Nico Robin, who dodge the removal effect anyway. And so here's all 50 cards laid out for you. With that, let's go ahead and get into the games. For the first matchup, we'll be playing against Red Blue Ace, and they do to win the die roll and choose to go second. Unfortunately, we do not open a Searcher as well, so we don't have anything to do on our first turn, and our second turn we just have to swing 8. For him, he's going to develop his own Searcher, swing 6, we'll give him the counter, and he gets his own PRB Marco. From here, we do draw into a Searcher, so I use it to try to find a hack to answer the PRB Marco. Unfortunately, with the first one, we don't find it, but we do find another Searcher, so I use the second Searcher to get a hack, and we're just going to need to develop that at some point so that we can deal with this Marco in a reasonable fashion, so that's probably what we're going to be doing with our next turn. We go ahead and take the 7 swing from our opponent, and fortunately we do draw into a Zeus, which will allow us to cleanly answer his 5-drop Yamato he played on the last turn, and we can still develop the hack. So we can effectively clear his entire board with these 2 cards. Now he is on the 8 Dawn turn, and unfortunately he does have the 8-drop event card, so he goes ahead and plays his Whitebeard way ahead of curve. Additionally, he does use the effect, though, to take a life so he can be a big leader, and that does allow us to put him all the way to 0 with our leader effect. Unfortunately, though, he does have a big blocker, and we only have 1 real swing, so we have to take a turn to develop our dragon. Fortunately, it is a good dragon, though, as we're going to be able to take a couple cards still, and then we'll get to draw a card with our leader. And so for his next turn, he is likely going to, and yep, there it is, just another big Whitebeard card, and he'll draw a few more cards. From here, he swings 8, so we'll give him the block and a 2k, but then he can clear our Robin with his 14k Whitebeard. We do fortunately draw into a Stussy for turn, so we can clear one of the beards and pressure his life with an 8k, 6k from our dragon and then leader respectively, and we do still get to draw. However, actually I do draw into a Searcher, so I'll just go ahead and use the Searcher to grab another 2k. I do need to live after all. I cannot just rely on him not swinging like 13 and then 15 because we just won't be able to counter out of that otherwise. He does go ahead and Red Rock our Stussy though, and then tries to clear our dragon with a swing. We'll go ahead and give him all the counter on our hand to keep a life while also keeping our dragon around. And from here we have a choice. We could either play the Robin or the Kuma, but because Gold Roger is a real threat, I would want to keep the life rather than the blocker, so I opt to play the Kuma, and from here we'll just hold up 1 Dawn for a Blaze Slice. I opt not to play the Koala to keep the extra counter in hand, as it is possible that she can whiff. From here, our opponent does go ahead and search and then use a Jozu to keep his hand healthy, just bouncing his own Searchers back into hand. He tries to clear our dragon, and unfortunately this time we cannot defend it. From here, he will just drop a blocker, and then for our turn, we're going to go ahead and use our Nico Robin to just, again, pressure his hand a little bit more. We will swing our leader, but unfortunately we don't get to draw because Kuma is no longer counting as an 8k. We'll leave a Dawn up so that we can use our Blaze Slice as we may need it to live this turn. He does have 3 potential swings, and he could have a Gold Roger in hand again, but he does not, so we'll go ahead and just give him the Kuma and then additionally take the damage. He decides not to swing with his blockers, and fortunately we do draw into another dragon, so we can maybe stay in this game a little bit longer. We go ahead and resurrect another Kuma, heal again, draw another card with our leader, and he will just give us a block. Not wanting to give him our Robin, I'll keep that active as it wouldn't be able to pierce through a Whitebeard blocker anyway. For his turn, he's just going to swing a 7. We go ahead and give him the Flame Slice and a 2k just to keep the life. And then he plays a Jozu to refill his hand once again. Unfortunately, We're really not making too much progress on his hand. We've maybe chipped down like 2 or 3 cards in the last 3 turns, and so we're slowly getting choked out of this game. I do go ahead and hold on to my life, though, by giving him the last card in my hand. We're going to really need to make some real progress soon, and this smoker in our hand is not going to help us too much in doing that. I go ahead and swing 8 a few times just to try to chip a few more cards. I do fortunately draw into a Kuma, though, so at least that's something to do to develop another body, but we are falling woefully behind on the board and in hand size, and so from here our opponent is looking at the board and just going to go ahead and try to clear it. Looks like he is going to just take the dragon. There's no way we can defend that, and I'm anticipating him taking the Kuma as well, but he decides to leave it and just instead play a Taxbeard. This is devastating news for us, as it means that there's no chance we're going to be able to go for game this turn, and additionally at only 2 life, there's just no way we're going to be able to survive another turn, and so from here I just swing, but I end up having to scoop it up. In our next game, we're going to be playing against an Emu, and fortunately we do open our 1-drop Searcher. Our opponent is going to also have a Searcher, but doesn't really get anything too impactful. He's just going to cycle another card as well with his Leer effect. Thankfully, because we had our Searcher, we get to swing 5, swing 5. We don't have anything to do on 3 Dawn anyway with this deck, so getting to swing the extra time is actually critical for success when you have to go first. We will go ahead and give him a hack when he swings his 5, just because I already have a Porcelino in my hand I'd rather play for my next turn. He's going to take some time to search a card and then decide on what he'd like to pitch for leader effect. There he goes. Okay, so he pitches a Sabo, draws a card. We'll just go ahead and swing 6 and then play our Borse. There he is. And so our opponent is going to swing 6. We'll just go ahead and take it because we are still looking for a couple cards, including a dragon. It does end up being a trigger, so we get to search out a card. Still no dragon, though. Not a big deal. We have a little bit more time, and we have a 6-drop to play for our next turn. For this one, though, we'll just go ahead and give him the Kuma. Oh, and we do top deck into a dragon. We'll go ahead and play the Sabo, though, and then we'll have a Kuma to target for our next turn with the dragon. So things are looking pretty good for us. He does give us a spell card as well, so that's one less spell we'll have to worry about in the late game. He is going to go ahead and search, though. Does grab another Warcury. He'll use his leader effect to play the 6-drop Rusher, and he's holding up 4, so he's probably going to be wanting to play the Warcury. Knowing this, I will actually be defending the Porcelino, because the best that he can do from here is a 5-5 if he does want to squeeze in the Warcury, and that's exactly what he's doing. And so this way we get to keep the body. Now we'll go ahead and swing 7, and he does take, which does turn on our Blaze Slice, which is very fortunate for us because it allows us to tap down the Warcury. In the meantime, though, we'll be playing the Dragon, and then we can use the Borse that we saved to get another card out of his hand before swinging 7 to hopefully put him down to 1, and he does take. From here on your opponent's 10 Dawn turn, he's put into a very disadvantageous position. He knows I probably have another Blaze Slice if I was willing to use one on the previous turn, as there's no way I'll be able to defeat him on the next turn without it. And so from here, we're probably going to lose our board because, well, we have 1 card left in hand, and we've just shown it's probably not counter. So he's going to likely swing into the Borse with a 6, and we'll just give it to him. As long as we have 3 swings remaining and the Blaze Slice in hand, we should be able to kill him because we do get to take the last life when he plays the 10 Elders. He will go ahead and resurrect all of the 5 Elders, but to be honest, it's just not going to be enough, especially since he only has 1 Dawn left. He is not able to present 2 spell cards, and so he'll just scoop them from there. In the last game, we'll be facing the classic matchup of Zoro, and we actually won the die roll, got to go second, so that's pretty good. We also opened a Searcher. Unfortunately, the Searcher whiffed. That can happen when you're playing as many tech cards as I am, but, well, to be honest, I am still playing quite a few Rev Army cards, so it is usual that I will find at least one. We'll go ahead and play a Borse here, though. Hope he doesn't have a Tashigi, and fortunately for us, he doesn't, and we'll instead play the Mihawk Zoro, which also, fortunately for us, will allow us to take one of his lives. He swings the remaining of his Dawn into our leader, so we'll just go ahead and take that one, and I'm feeling like I'd rather just develop the Kuma rather than the Robin here, and I pitch the 9-drop because I don't anticipate having use from it. I'll keep the Borse standing, though, because he didn't have a Tashigi last time, and so it's a good chance that he won't have a Tashigi again this time. and he doesn't. Instead, he does play a Cavendish using the new Trafalgar Law effect, which does allow us to trigger leader effect again to take a couple of his life cards again. And then with our Robin, we pressure the hand. He gives us actually the 3-drop restand event, so he's probably holding on to a lot of counter, which he'll be using to defend his board. We're really trying to push the Cavendish off, but unfortunately he has just enough counter, it looks like, to keep it alive. We're still able to clear the Zoro, though, so that's still one less swing. We're a little shaky, though, at just 2 life remaining, especially since if he was willing to pitch one of the restand events, it's likely he still has another one. We'll go ahead and block the Cavendish because Robin wouldn't be able to block against the leader anyway, and then we'll pitch 1 for the 5k swing. We'll just take the 7, and if he wants to try to go for it with the 9-9, we do have just enough counter to get out of it. Instead, he swings 7, so I'll just go ahead and give him the counter for that. And unfortunately, he does have an Electrical Luna, a card that's not really being played to beat us, and in fact, I'm surprised to see in his deck at all, but it is extremely punishing for us because it means we're not going to be able to kill him at all this turn. We have to survive one more turn. And unfortunately, we don't have a Kuma to get back with our dragons, so we just have to get a Bourse instead. Hopefully, it'll still be enough. We got 3 2Ks in hand, and so we'll just go ahead and give him 1 2k for this 5k swing, and then we'll have to use our blockers in order to stop the character swings because he is presenting a potential restand with his leader. Here he goes with an 8, and so we'll just give him 2 more cards. We're out of counter in hand, and so if this Cavendish turns sideways, we're going to have to give the Robin, and then if he has the restand event, he will still be able to clear another one of our guys. So yeah, we do have to give the blocker here, and he does have another blocker in play as well, so we're probably not going to be able to go for game next turn. In order to do so, we're going to need a Blaze Slice. I don't have 2 8-drops in play, but if I just play this Robin, potentially I could still draw into it. I go for one last draw, and it's not Blaze Slice, and so I'll have to scoop him up from here. Well, we'll go ahead and do the swings, but it is done. So we're back with the deck, and hey, 1 out of 3 isn't so bad, right? Well, obviously I played a lot more matches than just these while I hammered out a deck list, but I thought these games did a good job encapsulating some of the strengths and weaknesses that Koala faces for each of these matchups. Let's talk in a little more detail what some options you can include if you wanted to target any of these decks in particular. As you could probably tell, going first is especially punishing against Ace since they drop their first Whitebeard a turn before your dragon can come down. A good way to counteract this is to have the Stussy ready to go for your 9-Dawn turn. And of course, the best way to see one is to play a full playset instead of just the 2 that I've got in this current list. Additionally, the new Hiyori card that acts as both a blocker and a healer could be included in your list to help buy you an additional turn or 2 while you keep chipping down Ace's hands with your big bodies. Lastly, you could also consider including the old starter deck Nico Robin that can reduce a card's cost by 5. She's easily searchable by Koala, and the requirement to get the cost reduction is fulfilled by most of the cards we're already putting into play, and then you can combo a Zeus on the same turn as you play the Robin in order to remove a 10-cost Whitebeard. Moving along to Emu, it's considerably easier to outpace the deck as long as you get to go second, since your first dragon play will get a chance to turn sideways before they've even gotten a chance to play their first 5 elders. However, you can still keep up going first as long as you have a body stick on your 5-Dawn turn. Either way, whether you're going first or second, Blaze Slice is going to be an absolute must to have at least 1 copy of so that you can storm down their War Fury on the final turn of the game. And as I stated, cards that can't be popped for the 5-Dawn turn, such as the Borsalino or Smoker that I ended up including, feel quite necessary if you do end up having to go first. Lastly, in order to combat the Zoro deck, the classic answer for black decks is the 2-cost Black Hole event to turn off his leader effect and also lower his power by 4k for the turn. It's not searchable, but even seeing 1 in the late game can turn the game on its head. Additionally, we do have the new PRB Boa, who can also stymie Zoro's aggression, especially when you have the going first curve. You can couple it with some other annoying trigger cards, such as the Kikunojo, which is another body that Zoro wouldn't want to swing into, the Egghead Nami, which you can use to pop any of the Tashigis or their blockers as either a trigger or on play, or the Draw 2 Baby 5 card. All of these cards can be discarded by Boa in order to stop the Zoro from attacking on the next turn. In the end, Koala is more than capable of beating each of the big 3 if she builds for it, but there's only so much room in the deck, and as a result it's really difficult to balance all the tech that you would want to play. The likely more successful idea is sacrificing one of your matchups to shore up the other 2, which is what I've done with my current build, prioritizing the Emu matchup over the other two, while still including a couple cards to beat Ace, and ignoring Zoro completely. I've played decks led, ended up having to do this over the years, and they always performed reasonably, but never quite ended up succeeding. And so my current placement for Koala for the OP13 meta is right here, in the can win a local and go 6-3 in a regional. In other words, it's solid for the meta, and probably better than most would give the deck credit for, but you're probably not going to be winning the big tournaments anytime soon. So, what did you think? Was there any cards that I missed that could help push Koala to the next level? What deck would you want to see next? Let me know in the comments below. Also, for this episode, I did an OP13 format because the PRB isn't available as a format yet on the sim, but for the next one, I will probably be tackling a PRB format deck. Well, that's all for now, and see you all next time. Thanks for watching.